Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at something I think a lot of you are interested in, which is the impact of modern society on men.
Okay.
We've got some excerpts here from a book that focuses on men's rights.
Interesting.
And we're going to unpack its perspective on how these shifting gender roles are affecting men in relationships, the workplace, and the legal system.
Yeah, it's a really timely discussion,
Yeah.
especially given that it's such a hot topic right now and so many men are struggling to adapt.
Right. It's like we hear all the time about, female empowerment, but what about the men?
Right, exactly.
Where do they fit in?
Yeah, where do they fit in?
So this book dives right into that and starts with this idea of like a double bind of modern masculinity.
Oh, interesting. What does that mean?
Well, the author is arguing that men are kind of caught between these conflicting expectations.
Yeah, okay.
So society is saying, be strong and assertive, but also be sensitive and emotionally available.
Right, so it's like a tightrope walk.
Yeah, it is a tightrope walk.
You can't win.
You're expected to be a provider, but you can't be too dominant or controlling.
Yeah, be the provider, but don't be too assertive about it.
Right. And the book doesn't just like throw this idea out there.
Okay.
There's actually evidence to support this.
So what kind of evidence are we talking about?
Well, they actually cite a study from the American Psychological Association
Oh, wow.
that found that 60% of men feel this pressure.
That's a huge number.
It's a majority of men
Yeah.
who are feeling lost in this new kind of landscape.
Yeah, like they don't know what the rules are anymore.
Exactly. And so the author argues that this sense of being lost can lead to feelings of emasculation,
Right.
which then obviously impacts men's confidence
Yeah.
and even their mental well-being.
Makes sense.
And it's important to note that this isn't about like rejecting progress or equality.
Right.
It's about recognizing that these societal shifts have had, unintended consequences for men.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't talk about that enough,
Exactly. And speaking of unintended consequences, let's talk about relationships because the book really digs into how
Sure.
all of this is impacting relationships.
Interesting.
And there was this one quote that really kind of hit me, and it was about how men feel like they're walking on eggshells around women,
Oh, I've heard that before.
constantly afraid of saying or doing the wrong thing.
It must be exhausting.
Yeah.
To always feel like you're one wrong step away from causing a problem.
Right. And the author's suggestion here is that the feminist movement, while it's, been advocating for a lot of really important rights, it might have inadvertently fostered a sense of entitlement and even victimhood in some women.
Yeah.
And that's kind of leading to these imbalances and resentments in relationships.
That's interesting because it's not something you hear discussed very often.
Right. And it makes you think about those power dynamics.
Definitely.
Right. Because equality shouldn't mean that one side is dictating all the terms of the relationship.
Totally agree. I mean, it should be a partnership.
Right.
Right. It should be balanced.
Should be balanced. Exactly.
Not one person having all the power.
And he even cites that Bumble survey
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
where 60% of men
Wow.
felt pressured to conform to women's expectations in dating,
Even if it meant sacrificing their own needs.
even if it meant sacrificing their own desires.
Yeah, it's like they're bending over backwards just to please the woman.
Right. And the book is arguing that this pressure to conform can create this dynamic where men feel like they're constantly on edge,
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
and it can lead to frustration and resentment.
Resentment for sure.
So it's all about finding that healthy equilibrium
Exactly.
where both partners feel respected and valued.
Right. It's not about one person winning and the other person losing.
Okay, so we've got this like double bind affecting men's sense of self.
Yeah,
It's playing out in their relationships.
definitely.
But the book doesn't stop there. It goes on to examine how these changes are impacting men professionally
Oh, wow. So in the workplace.
in the workplace.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, he doesn't hold back.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What does he say?
He argues that men are facing an uphill battle in the workplace,
In what way?
specifically calling out policies like affirmative action and gender quotas.
Oh, that's controversial.
Yeah, it is controversial. But he's saying that these policies, while they were intended to promote equality, have unintentionally created disadvantages for men.
Oh, wow. So he's saying they've backfired.
In certain industries, yes.
Interesting.
And he even cites a Harvard Business Review study
Oh, wow. a Harvard study.
that found that men are actually less likely to be hired in traditionally male-dominated roles
Because of these diversity pressures.
because of diversity pressures, exactly.
It's almost like the pendulum has swung too far in the other direction.
It's like this push for diversity has kind of backfired on men in some ways.
Yeah, it goes on too far.
And the author's point is that men are feeling this pressure in a very real way.
Okay.
They're seeing opportunities slip away.
Just because they're men.
Not because they're not qualified,
Yeah.
but because of these factors that are outside their control.
Yeah. And that must feel incredibly frustrating.
Absolutely. And it's not just the workplace, right?
Okay. So where else is he looking at?
The book also takes aim at the legal system,
Oh, interesting.
arguing that it often seems biased against men,
In what way?
especially in areas like family court.
Okay.
He even brings up that statistic
Which one?
about how fathers are only awarded sole custody in 7% of cases.
Wow. That's a tiny percentage.
It is a tiny percentage.
That's really striking.
And that number alone raises some serious questions.
Yeah, like what's going on there?
Exactly. And his point is that this statistic illustrates
Yeah.
a perceived imbalance in the legal system,
Okay.
and that this is leading men to feel like they're at a disadvantage,
Especially when it comes to issues involving their children.
especially when it comes to matters involving children and family, yes.
Right, because that's where it really hits home. So we're back, and we're continuing our deep dive into the world of men's rights.
Yeah, and in this part, we're really getting into how these challenges play out in men's lives.
Right, let's dig deeper into some of the specifics.
Exactly. And I think a good place to start is with this whole issue of the mental health crisis among men.
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
It's a huge problem, and it's something that the book really kind of brings to light.
So what does the author have to say about it?
Well, he points out that suicide rates for men are significantly higher than for women.
That's true. It's a really disturbing statistic.
Yeah, it's a stark reminder that something is seriously wrong.
So what does he attribute this to?
He doesn't shy away from connecting this crisis to the things we were talking about earlier.
You mean like the emasculation of men and the decline of traditional roles?
Yeah, exactly. And that feeling of purposelessness that a lot of men experience in modern society.
Okay, so he's saying that men are basically struggling to adapt.
Yeah, and they're often lacking the support systems they need to cope.
And this is leading to a mental health crisis.
Right, makes sense.
He paints this picture of men feeling lost and isolated. Their traditional roles as providers and protectors are being dismissed or ridiculed.
Like they're being told their masculinity is toxic.
Yeah, and they're left wondering, well, who am I supposed to be then?
Exactly.
And he argues that this sense of displacement is made even worse by the way men are portrayed in the media.
Oh, yeah. So,
On one hand, they're shown as like incompetent, bumbling fools, you know, the butt of the joke.
right, the stereotypical sitcom dad.
Exactly. But then on the other hand, they're depicted as aggressive, dangerous predators.
So it's like a double standard.
Yeah, it's a no-win situation.
You're either a joke or a threat.
And he uses this really powerful phrase, perpetual victimhood,
Interesting. What does he mean by that?
to describe how certain groups in society are constantly claiming victim status,
Oh.
which then creates this culture where men are often seen as the perpetrators,
Regardless of the circumstances.
regardless of the individual circumstances.
Yeah.
So he's saying that men are being unfairly targeted.
And he specifically points to the influence of woke culture.
That's a hot topic these days.
It is a hot topic, and he's arguing that while it has raised some important issues, it's also contributed to a climate where men feel constantly under attack
And afraid to speak their mind.
and afraid to speak their minds exactly.
Because they're worried about being canceled or something.
Right.
That's interesting.
He used a really stark example to illustrate this point, the Duke Lacrosse case.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that case.
Those young men were practically crucified in the media.
Yeah, based on accusations that turned out to be completely false,
Exactly. And it just shows how quickly public opinion can turn against men.
especially when it's fueled by those narratives of men as predators.
Right. And the author is arguing that this fear of false accusations has led to a chilling effect,
Meaning what?
meaning that men are hesitant to mentor women or even interact with them in certain professional settings,
Because they're afraid of being misconstrued?
or accused of something they didn't do.
Yeah, that's a real concern these days.
And it raises a lot of questions about how we balance the need for accountability with the presumption of innocence.
Especially in this climate where accusations can have such devastating consequences.
Right, and this whole idea of a culture of victimhood extends to relationships too.
Oh, interesting. How so?
The author claims it can lead to a dynamic where some women feel entitled to certain behaviors from men.
Okay, so give me an example.
Like maybe demanding that men pay for everything or always initiate contact.
Right, or always be the one to make the first move.
Exactly. And he's careful to clarify that he's not saying all women are like this.
Right, of course not.
But that certain societal shifts have created an environment where these dynamics are more likely to play out.
I see his point.
It's like he's saying we need to be more aware of the unintended consequences of some of these social movements.
Right, because even with the best intentions, things can go wrong.
Yeah, and he uses terms like female entitlement and the victim card.
Those are pretty loaded terms.
They are loaded terms.
But I guess he's trying to make a point.
To describe this phenomenon and argue that it's actually undermining genuine efforts to achieve equality.
Right, because it's creating more division and resentment.
Exactly. And he suggests that this focus on victimhood can create a climate of distrust between men and women,
Yeah, I can see that.
making it difficult to have honest conversations about the challenges both genders face.
So it's like a communication breakdown,
Yeah, it is a communication breakdown.
and it's preventing us from finding common ground.
Okay, so it's a pretty bleak picture so far.
Yeah, it sounds like men are facing a lot of challenges.
They are, but the book doesn't just leave us hanging with all these problems.
So what does he offer as solutions?
He offers some solutions and advice for men who are struggling.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah.
What does he suggest?
Well, one thing he really emphasizes is the importance of reclaiming traditional masculinity.
Now that's a controversial topic.
It is controversial, but he's not talking about being aggressive or domineering.
Okay, so what does he mean?
He's talking about rediscovering the positive aspects of those traits.
Like strength and leadership.
Yeah, strength, leadership, resilience, qualities that can help men navigate these tough times.
So it's about finding the good in those traditional values.
Exactly, and using them to your advantage.
I like that.
And he even suggests seeking out communities and groups that support these values.
So where should men look for this kind of support?
He specifically mentions religious institutions and men's rights organizations.
Interesting. So places where traditional values are still upheld.
Yeah, places where men can connect with others who understand their experiences.
Okay, so it's about finding a sense of belonging.
Exactly. And he sees these groups as offering a counter narrative to the prevailing cultural messages.
You know, the ones that often undermine male identity and self-worth.
Right. And there's also a strong emphasis on personal responsibility,
Meaning what?
meaning that he urges men to stop playing the victim,
Take control of their lives.
to control their lives, focus on self-improvement.
Okay, so it's about empowerment.
Yeah. And even rejecting the pressure to conform to societal expectations.
Especially those pushed by woke ideology.
Exactly. It's about defining yourself on your own terms.
Reclaiming your agency and your voice.
And he even has a whole chapter on how men can fight back against the legal system.
Oh, wow. What kind of advice does he give?
He advocates for things like shared parenting rights
That's important.
and challenging gender bias in family courts.
Okay, so he's giving men practical tools to fight for their rights.
Right. He provides legal resources, strategies for men facing custody battles or false accusations.
That's really helpful. I bet a lot of men feel lost in those situations.
And he talks about the importance of men supporting each other.
Yeah, creating those communities of like-minded individuals.
Exactly. Offering encouragement and guidance.
Okay, so it's about brotherhood and camaraderie.
Right. Recognizing the power of those connections.
Especially in a world where men often feel isolated.
And he encourages men to find positive role models.
People who embody those values of traditional masculinity.
Right. Both in their personal lives and in history.
So looking to the past for inspiration.
Exactly. Drawing inspiration from those who have faced adversity and overcome it.
Okay, so it's about resilience and finding strength in those who came before you.
And now he turns his attention to something that's especially relevant to our audience.
Which is...
The role of fathers in society.
Okay, yeah, that's a big one.
And he argues that fatherhood has been undermined by the feminist agenda.
Leading to a decline in male role models.
Right, and a rise in all sorts of social problems.
That's a pretty bold claim. Does he have any evidence to back that up?
He does. He cites studies that link fatherlessness to increased crime rates, poverty behavioral issues in children.
Wow, that's pretty compelling.
It's a sobering reminder of how important fathers are.
Yeah, you can't just erase fathers from the equation and expect everything to be fine.
So what's the solution?
Does he want fathers to go back to some, 1950s model of fatherhood?
Not exactly. He acknowledges that times have changed.
All right, we can't just go back in time.
And he's not advocating for a return to rigid gender roles.
Okay, so what is he suggesting?
He's more focused on fathers being actively involved in their children's lives.
Both emotionally and practically.
Exactly, setting boundaries, providing discipline.
Teaching them about responsibility.
Yeah, teaching them about responsibility, financial literacy, a strong work ethic.
Okay, so it's about being a role model, a guide.
And he emphasizes that these are skills that can be learned.
Even by men who didn't have good father figures themselves.
Exactly. He recommends mentorship programs, support groups for fathers.
So it's about recognizing that fatherhood is a journey.
Right, and there's always room for growth.
You can always learn and improve.
And he encourages fathers to challenge those prevailing narratives that portray them as incompetent or unnecessary.
Yeah, to stand up for their rights.
Especially in areas like child custody and family law.
So it's about empowerment again.
Exactly, empowering fathers to fight for their place in their families' lives.
Okay, so what else does he talk about?
He then shifts gears a bit and tackles the issue of education.
Oh, interesting. What does he have to say about that?
He argues that the modern education system is failing boys,
In what way?
particularly in areas like discipline and traditional values.
Okay, so he's saying that schools aren't teaching boys what they need to know.
And he claims that schools have become too focused on catering to girls.
Often at the expense of boys.
Right. And he points to statistics showing boys falling behind girls in academic achievement.
Especially in reading and writing.
Yeah. And this raises concerns about the future of young men.
Because if boys aren't getting the education they need, they're going to struggle in life.
Exactly. And it argues that schools are increasingly hostile to traditional masculinity.
So they're punishing boys for just being boys.
Right. Like he gives this example of a boy being suspended for drawing a stick figure with a sword.
Oh, come on, that's ridiculous.
He says this kind of zero tolerance policy is absurd and counterproductive.
I agree. It's like they're trying to erase boyhood.
And he criticizes the overemphasis on sensitivity and emotional expression in schools.
He's saying that it ignores the unique developmental needs of boys.
Yeah, and he believes it's important to allow boys to be boys.
To express their energy and individuality.
Right. And he even suggests that some aspects of the curriculum are designed to indoctrinate boys with feminist ideology.
Wow, that's a pretty strong accusation.
He uses terms like woke indoctrination and the emasculation of boys.
So he's saying that schools are actively trying to undermine boys' sense of self-worth.
It's a controversial claim, but he backs it up with examples of specific curriculum materials and school policies.
Okay, so he's not just making this stuff up.
So if he's so critical of the public school system, what does he propose as an alternative?
Does he want boys to drop out of school?
Not at all. He's a strong advocate for school choice.
Okay, so giving parents more options.
Right. He argues that parents should have more control over their children's education.
I can see his point.
And he even mentions homeschooling as a viable option.
So taking your kids out of the system altogether.
For families who are dissatisfied with the public school system.
That's a big decision, but I can see why some parents would choose that.
And he offers practical advice for parents who are considering homeschooling.
Like what kind of advice?
Information on legal requirements, curriculum options.
Okay, so the nuts and bolts of homeschooling.
And he even suggests that homeschooling can be a really positive experience.
For both parents and children.
Yeah, fostering closer relationships and creating a more customized learning environment.
So it's about taking control of your kids' education.
And he also talks about the importance of parents supplementing their children's education at home.
Regardless of whether they go to public or private school.
Right. He encourages parents to be actively involved in their children's learning.
Teaching them about traditional values, civics, American history, critical thinking skills.
Yeah, all the things that he feels are being neglected in the school system.
So it's about taking responsibility for your kids' education.
And counteracting those messages that they're getting in school and in the media.
Okay, so he's advocating for a more hands-on approach to parenting.
Exactly. Where
Yeah.
parents take an active role in shaping their children's worldview.
And speaking of shaping worldviews, he then turns his attention to the media.
Right, because he argues that the media plays a huge role in shaping public perceptions of men and masculinity.
And he's not a fan of how the media portrays men, is he?
Not at all. He's especially critical of the obsession with female victimhood.
And the tendency to portray men as either bumbling fools or dangerous predators.
He provides all these examples of media coverage that he sees as biased against men.
From news stories to TV shows.
And he even argues that some media outlets deliberately promote a feminist agenda
using their platform to undermine traditional masculinity.
and promote a narrative of male guilt and oppression.
Wow, that's a pretty serious accusation.
So what does he suggest men do about it?
Does he want them to boycott the media?
Not exactly. He encourages men to be more critical of the media they consume
To challenge biased reporting.
and seek out alternative sources of information.
Okay, so be more discerning about what you're reading and watching.
And he even suggests that men should create their own media platforms and content.
Wow, so take control of the narrative.
Exactly. Provide a platform for men's voices and perspectives.
That's a bold move.
He sees it as a form of activism,
Pushing back against those cultural forces that are trying to silence men.
and he offers practical advice for men who want to create their own content.
Like how to use social media podcasting, video production,
So it's not just about complaining about the media, it's about taking action.
and creating something new.
Exactly. And it speaks to this whole theme of empowerment that runs throughout the book
It's about giving men the tools to fight back.
and reclaim their place in society.
So it's a call to action.
We've covered a lot of ground in this segment.
Yeah, from the mental health crisis to the role of fathers and the influence of the media.
But there's one more area the author explores that's particularly relevant to our audience. The rise of online communities and the Red Pill movement.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other world.
He sees these online spaces as a refuge for men.
Who feel alienated by mainstream culture.
Right. And they're seeking a sense of belonging and understanding.
So it's like finding your tribe.
Exactly. And he describes these communities as places where men can openly discuss their frustrations.
Their challenges, their experiences without fear of judgment.
And he specifically mentions the red pill metaphor.
Yeah, the choice between accepting a comfortable but false reality.
Or embracing a painful but liberating truth.
Right. It's about waking up to the reality of the world.
And he sees the red pill movement as a wake-up call for men.
Challenging the narratives they've been fed about gender relationships, power dynamics.
And he acknowledges that these communities can be controversial.
Right, some people see them as misogynistic or harmful.
But he argues that it's important to understand the context and motivations behind these movements.
So try to see things from their perspective.
Right. And he suggests that some of the anger and frustration expressed in these communities is a natural reaction.
To the sense of emasculation and injustice that many men feel.
Exactly. It's like a pressure cooker that's finally releasing some steam.
And he's saying that it's important to listen to these voices.
To try to understand what's driving men to seek out these alternative perspectives.
So instead of just dismissing them, try to engage with them.
Right. And he even goes so far as to say that these online communities can be a source of support and empowerment,
For men who are struggling,
offering a sense of brotherhood and camaraderie
a place where they can connect with like-minded individuals.
without fear of judgment.
So it's about finding a community and building a support network.
Exactly. But he also acknowledges that not all men's online communities are created equal.
Right, some are more positive than others.
Some are more focused on self-improvement and personal growth.
While others might be more negative and angry.
Right. And he encourages men to be discerning about the communities they join.
To find the ones that align with their values and goals.
And he cautions against isolating yourself in online echo chambers
Right, it's important to get different perspectives.
and maintain a balanced outlook,
So use these spaces as a tool for growth and connection.
not as a replacement for real-life interactions.
Right, and it's important to remember that these communities are just one part of a larger cultural shift.
He sees them as a sign that men are no longer willing to accept the status quo.
And they're looking for new ways to define themselves and their roles in society.
It's a really fascinating phenomenon.
And it's definitely something we'll be talking about for years to come.
Well, this has been a fascinating journey through the world of men's rights.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground.
We've explored the challenges, the arguments, and even some potential solutions.
But our deep dive isn't over yet.
Right. There's one more area we need to explore.
And it's probably the most controversial.
The author's views on feminism and the woke agenda.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back on this one.
We'll examine his critique of these ideologies.
And see if there's any possibility for a more balanced future for both men and women.
It's going to be thought-provoking, for sure. So stay tuned for our final segment. Okay, so we talk about a lot of the challenges men face in today's world. You know, those shifting relationship dynamics, the pressures of the workplace, the legal system.
Right, we've covered a lot of ground.
But now in this final part, we're going to get into what the author sees as kind of the root of these issues.
The big bad wolf, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's feminism and the woke agenda.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting.
I'll admit I was a little hesitant about this part.
Yeah, it's a bit of a minefield.
It feels like walking into a minefield.
You never know what's going to set people off.
But the author doesn't hold back.
So what's his take?
He sees these movements as the driving force behind a lot of the problems men are facing today.
Okay, so he's saying they're the root of all evil,
Well, maybe not all evil, but
figuratively speaking.
he's arguing that while they may have started with good intentions, they've gone too far
Okay, so they've overcorrected.
and created a culture that's hostile to men and traditional values.
That's a pretty strong statement.
And he's especially critical of what he calls radical feminism,
Yep, which he describes as,
a man-hating ideology that seeks to disempower men at every turn.
wow, strong words.
He even goes so far as to call it a witch hunt against men.
So he's not pulling any punches.
But he does back up his claims with examples.
Like what?
Well, he talks about the increasing number of men being falsely accused of sexual harassment or assault.
Right, losing their careers and reputations based on accusations that are later proven false.
Exactly. And he brings up the hashtag #MeToo movement.
Which was obviously a very important movement.
Right. But he argues that while it started with the intention of empowering victims of abuse, it's morphed into something else.
So he's saying it's been hijacked
Kind of like it's become a tool for taking down men.
without due process or solid evidence.
Right. And it raises the question, has the pendulum swung too far in the other direction?
Are we now in a situation where men are being unfairly targeted and silenced?
That's the question he's posing.
That's a valid question, I think.
And he goes on to argue that this push for female empowerment has had some unintended negative consequences.
Like what?
Specifically, he mentions the decline of the traditional family structure
Okay.
and the rise of what he calls female entitlement.
Now that's a loaded term. What does he mean by that?
I know it can be a bit controversial.
Is he saying that all women are entitled?
No, he clarifies that he's not making a blanket statement about all women.
Okay, good, because that would be ridiculous.
He's arguing that certain strands of feminism have promoted a sense of entitlement in some women,
Okay, I can see that.
leading them to expect certain behaviors and privileges from men.
Without necessarily reciprocating, so
Right.
it's like a one-way street.
And he gives examples like women demanding that men pay for everything in a relationship
Or expecting men to always initiate contact.
or make the first move.
Right, so it's all on the man's shoulders.
And his point is that this creates an imbalance
Where men are constantly expected to give and provide.
without receiving equal effort or appreciation.
So he's saying that true equality should be about mutual respect and understanding.
Exactly, not one gender dictating all the terms.
Yeah, it should be a partnership.
And this extends beyond relationships, right?
He applies this critique to the workplace as well.
Right. He claims that feminist policies, while aiming for equality, have actually created a new set of obstacles for men.
In what way?
He points to things like affirmative action and gender quotas,
Okay.
arguing that they often disadvantage men.
Especially in fields that have traditionally been male-dominated,
Exactly. He gives the example of men being passed over for promotions or job opportunities,
even when they're more qualified.
simply to meet diversity targets.
So she's saying the system is rigged against them.
In a way, yes.
It's like they're being punished for being men.
And he doesn't stop there.
Okay, where else does he go with this?
He even argues that the legal system has become biased against men
Especially in family court.
in divorce proceedings.
So he's saying men are getting the short end of the stick.
He claims that men are often presumed guilty in cases of domestic violence or child custody disputes.
Even when the evidence is weak.
Exactly. And he highlights that statistic we mentioned earlier.
About fathers being awarded sole custody.
In a very small percentage of cases.
Right, which he sees as evidence of this bias.
He's painting a pretty bleak picture.
It sounds like he's saying men are under attack on all fronts.
But he doesn't just complain about the problem.
He offers solutions.
He calls on men to reclaim their traditional masculinity.
But not in an aggressive way,
Right, not in a way that's domineering.
but in a way that emphasizes strength, responsibility, and leadership.
Exactly. He wants men to find purpose and meaning in their roles as fathers, husbands, community leaders.
Okay, so it's about finding your place in the world.
And he encourages men to build communities, support each other, and even become more politically active.
So taking action to change things.
Right. Pushing back against policies they see as harmful, promoting the values they believe in.
So it's a call to action.
It's a fight for the future, he says.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
Well, this has been quite a deep dive.
We've explored some really complex and controversial ideas.
I know this book might rub some people the wrong way.
Yeah, it's definitely not for everyone,
But I think it's important to hear these perspectives.
even if we don't agree with everything.
It's about understanding the nuances of these issues and having a thoughtful dialogue.
And I think we've done that today.
If you're interested in exploring these ideas further, we encourage you to check out the full book.
You can find it on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
It's definitely a thought-provoking read.
It'll challenge your assumptions for sure.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.